making.
Oh, this is a way better take than I expected. Holy, the scariest study that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right.
It's a really inspiring, powerful, empowering philosophy, but it's like, yeah, well, sometimes it's harder.
You can't say that because different people have different. Some people don't even have shoes. Like the idea of pull yourself up by your bootstraps is stupid. And I did it. Why didn't you? No, you did it with your life. The idea that your life, because it was difficult, is exactly the same as somebody else's life, which may be more difficult or have insurmountable obstacles that are in the way.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Did you see that lady on 60 Minutes? They interviewed her. She's some new woman who works in the White House. And they asked her about obesity. She said the number one cause of obesity is genetics. And it doesn't matter what you do. Like you could be a person who has a perfect diet and exercises and sleeps right, and you're still obese.
Was that really what she said? Wait, CNN, obesity, genetics caused. Obesity is all according to genetics, according to 60 Minutes.
It's a brain disease.
It is?
It's a brain disease. And the brain tells us how much to eat and how much to store.
Dr. Fatima Cody Stanford, an obesity doctor at Mass General Hospital, an associate professor at Harvard Medical School, says common beliefs about obesity are all wrong.
It is your turn to get on that scale.
And diet shows, like The Biggest Loser,
You lost 128 pounds.
are snookering people. If you diet, you lose weight, right?
For many of us, we can go on a diet, something like The Biggest Loser, right? You go and you restrict people, you make them work out for 10 hours a day, and then you feed them 500 calories. For most people, they will acutely lose weight. But 96% of those participants in The Biggest Loser regained their weight because their brain worked well. It was supposed to bring them back to store what they needed or what the brain thinks it needs.
So willpower?
Throw that out the window. My last patient that I saw today was a young woman who's 39 who struggles with severe obesity. She's been working out 5 to 6 times a week consistently. She's eating very little. Her brain is defending a certain set point.
A set point, says Dr. Stanford, is a...
I don't like that it's so cut up because I think everything she's saying is true. I don't think she's actually saying anything not true, but it's so cut up that she could be saying really stupid stuff or she could be saying really intelligent stuff. But it's cut so much. I don't know what's actually being said here. I don't think she's saying anything wrong though.
range of weight your brain is in charge of maintaining by controlling how much food...
Also, I think, I could be wrong on this, but I think the set point stuff is still, I don't want to say controversial, but I don't know if people 100%, I think there's some research that's starting to defend it, but the set point thing is not 100% set in stone yet, I don't think. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
Food you eat and how much of it you store. One theory is that it's an evolutionary survival mechanism that helped retain fat during famines. So we had COVID. Mm-hmm. Lots and lots of people gain weight. Did those people have a new set point that's higher now?
What do you mean by set point? So set point is the idea that your body will try to defend a certain, I don't know, I think it's either body fat percentage or it's weight. It might be body fat percentage, but that like a lot of people left to their own devices will gravitate towards a spectrum, a range of weight, and they kind of sit in there. And if you want to gain more weight, you've got to fight really hard to do it. And if you want to lose weight, you've got to fight really hard to do it. Because as you lose weight and you fall out of that set point, your body will try really hard to get more food. It'll be hungry. I don't know if it affects your metabolism or not, but like, yeah, that when you start, your set point changes very, very, very slowly over time, I think. But I think that's still, I don't know if it's still controversial 100%. Yeah, Jeff Nipper did a video on this where he talked about it a little bit as well. But is this proven or a theory? This is just a theory. Everything revolving around like appetite and eating is very, very, very multivariate.
Absolutely. So when you have a chronic stressor and you get to a certain weight and maintain that weight for, let's say, at least 3 to 6 months, then you recalibrate that set point to a different set point.
Okay. I'd have to find a bigger interview, but I don't think she said anything wrong here.
And the health experts went nuts. Like, that's not what the data shows. The data shows that most people who are obese have obese parents, and they come from an obese family, but they're all doing the wrong thing. There's not like a person in that family that's eating grass-fed steak and running marathons and lifting weights and getting up at 6 in the morning and getting in a cold plunge and doing all these different things, but it's still fat as fuck.
Yeah.
And they're watching their calories in and calories out, and they're burning 1,000 calories a day in exercise, and they're still fat as fuck. That's not real. Like, to say that and to say it on 60 Minutes, there's this weird thing going on where people want to say it's not your fault, and it isn't your fault. I mean, if you believe in determinism, if you believe in the impact of the people around you and the environment that you're in, which is most certainly real, the impact of your parents, the impact of modeling, you're modeling after other people's bad decision making.
Oh, this is a way, 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 way better take than I expected. Holy shit. Jesus Christ.
That's all real. That's 100% real. But to say that all obesity is just genetic is bonkers. That's a bonkers thing to say, and it discredits all these people that we know that were obese, that without surgery lost all that weight and looked great. Like Ethan Suplee. Perfect example. There was a guy that was at one point in time like 500 plus pounds, right? How big was Ethan when he was at his biggest?
Jamie, pull it up.
But anyway, Jamie will find out. Documented all of it, did it publicly because he was a fucking star. He's a famous actor. Lost all the weight, now looks great, and did it through exercise and discipline, and even like was really open about the fact that he gained a lot of it back a couple times. He went from 550 to 255.
The one thing that was truly scary for me, we've gone over this a couple times on stream, but I have new viewers, is if you want to lose weight, it seems like you have to exercise and reduce your caloric intake, but you have to go for this like 1 to 2 pounds a week. You're cutting about 500 calories a day, 3,500 calories a week, about a pound of fat a week. When you do the ultra hardcore crash diets. Now, I say that as 1 pound a week for a normal person. If you weigh 500 pounds, you might be able to do 2 pounds a week. Your total daily consumption might be way higher for calories, so maybe you can do 2 pounds a week. But I think that the crash diets are really, really, really bad. I think that the scariest study that I've ever seen in my entire life was the follow-up measurements for the Biggest Loser people. What happened is somebody would go from 500 pounds, and then on the Biggest Loser, they would end up losing, and they would come out weighing 200 pounds. But what would happen is they would regain like 90% of the weight, but their metabolism never recovered. So you'll be, okay, so if you know anything about like these numbers, it'll blow your mind. You'll have a person that weighs like 400 pounds, and their total daily estimated expenditure will be like 2,200 calories. It'll be like, holy shit. Like, that's probably, if I'm working out and active a lot, that's my total daily estimated expenditure. These people will be like 300 or 400 pounds, and they'll have these insanely low metabolism. Is this the actual, I don't know why you're linking me this again. I want to find, what was the original study with that showed the charts with everybody's shit? And it's like, if you know anything about the numbers, if you weigh 400 pounds and you're restricted to, you have to eat 1,700 calories a day, you're on like starvation mode. Like, your life is just destroyed. There's just no, I don't know if that's even possible. Like, so like the average age of the person is about 35 years. The competition was about 6 months, and then they do a follow-up at 6 years. So about 35 years old was the average age, follow-up 41 years old. So the average weight, your baseline weight, was around 300 pounds, 330 pounds, I think. About 330 pounds was your starting weight, and then your ending weight was like 200 pounds. Jesus Christ. Who uses these dog shit numbers? Okay. So they lost about 100 pounds. Okay. 1/3 of a person. Okay. But then when they did the follow-up at 6 years, right, to see what happened, right, the follow-up at 6 years, these people had gained back almost all of the weight. So you went from 149 kilograms to 90, and then the average at 6 years was 131, okay? Which sucks, but... here's the insane part, okay? So RMR, my guess is this is your resting metabolic rate. So this might be, is this your, what is RMR versus BMR? Let me check real quick, hold on. BMR is minimum number of calories required for basic functions at rest. RMR, also called resting energy expenditure, is the number of calories your body burns while it's at rest. It's also called, wait. Oh, so RMR is going to be a little bit higher than BMR, I guess, because it includes other functions besides basic functions, I guess. So the resting metabolic rate for these people originally, okay? Your resting metabolic rate at 150 kilograms was 2,600, right, calories. At the end of the competition, it had fallen from 2,600 calories to about 2,000 calories, which we would expect. Your metabolism is slowing down, your weight is decreasing, you don't have to burn as many calories to maintain homeostasis, right? But when they regained the weight from 90 kilograms up to 131, their metabolism slid even more. Would you rather weigh 150 kilograms, burning 2,600 calories a day just for your resting metabolic functions, or do you want to be 132 kilograms, burning only 1,900 per day? That's insane. That is wild. You're burning 700 fewer calories a day just by existing after regaining so much weight. But yeah, I think that in general, are fat people just fucked? No, I think that in general, crash diets are super not recommended. What's the explanation for this? I don't know interpretations or whatnot, but I think that in general, the idea is that people don't recommend crash diets because your body will do very, very weird things. From everything that I've ever heard, generally people say don't do crash diets because your body goes into like very weird modes when you're like, when you're harboring like a ton of calories, you're trying not to eat and you're doing like crazy shit. I think it's just heavily not recommended to do that. Yeah. Like 1 to 2 pounds a week, lose weight slowly, et cetera, et cetera. Yes. Are crash diets the same thing as intermittent fasting? I've only ever read and heard really good things about intermittent fasting. Yeah.
He did that. Wow. He did that himself. I mean, he did it, and he documented it, and he had to go through surgery to get the skin removed so that his, he wasn't like a flying squirrel. But he did it. And to say that it's all genetic. Like, no, he had the same genes. Like, this is the same guy. It's not.
And it's also not inspiring.
Yes.
So, like, to say that, but that's the tension. If you say it's all genetic or it's significantly genetic, then you're encouraging people to be more accepting of the challenges of other people's lives. Like, your life might be... everybody's walking a hard road is basically the philosophical thing. That you don't... Just because it's easy for you to exercise doesn't mean it's easy for others to exercise.
Sort of. But aren't they also saying you don't even have to walk that road because it's not going to help you?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a very poor statement of that. It's a trade-off. I mean, it's a different philosophy. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right.
It's a really inspiring, powerful, empowering philosophy. But it's like, well, sometimes it's harder.
You can't.
Than others.
You can't say that because different people have different. Some people don't even have fucking shoes. Yeah. Like the idea of pull yourself up by your bootstraps is stupid. And I did it. Why didn't you? No, you did it with your life. The idea that your life, because it was difficult, is exactly the same as somebody else's life, which may be more difficult or have insurmountable obstacles that are in the way. There's also like different temperaments, different mental fortitude that people are just, for whatever reason.
This is what's that guy's name? The Slate Star Codex guy. He wrote an interesting article on this too, that it feels weird sometimes. like some people are predisposed to suffer in ways that feels really good for them, and people will give you credit for it. So like something that I'll hear sometimes is people will, when it's not my audience, it's just circle jerking against me, people will like commend me on like my work ethic because I can stream long hours, I can answer tons of emails, I can do lots of business shit or whatever, which I can, and I do. I put a ton of hours in everything I do. But even for my research streams and stuff, but it's like enjoyable for me. I'm not like pushing through any of that. It's not agonizing for me to do like an 8-hour research stream, or agonizing for me to like do research on like Ukraine or vaccines or whatever, because it's all like super entertaining. I enjoy it. I like it. And I know I'm going to use it soon. So it's really fun for me. Or even when it comes to like finishing certain like autism games, like the StarCraft 2 challenge was really fun for me. Playing games on like Nier Automata on like the hardest difficulty. Like when I beat the Nier Automata game on the hardest difficulty, like, for some people, or even for you guys, it looks like this like agonizing, horrible fucking experience. And I was like, I can't believe that, you know, Destiny took 6 hours to beat the tutorial, and like, oh my God. But like for me, like that's super entertaining and fun. I liked spending that because the payoff for me for winning at the end of like 6 hours going through the tutorial is worth it for me. I enjoy it. But like for somebody else, that might legitimately be an excruciating fucking experience of dying one time and then having to replay the whole thing and doing that over and over again. Is like the worst experience in the fucking world. And so if both of us have to suffer through that and we both succeed, like really the other person should get way more credit than me, because I like that type of agony, that type of autistic endeavor. That's super fun for me. That's enjoyable for me. I like that stuff. And if you don't like that stuff, oh my God, for you to push through it is a million times more commendable, right? Like I don't think I like get credit for that. It's just something I like doing. But it's a hard thing to measure that between people, that people are kind of like sometimes predisposed to drive in different directions for different things. And sometimes people get a lot of credit for the direction that they're already kind of like predisposed to drive towards. And then if you don't have that predisposition, you're kind of like, right? Maybe another example of this might be the fact that like, I brought this up a couple times. I think women might be suited for the classroom better than men. I think women might be better at sitting down, taking notes, studying materials. I don't know if you guys ever, I don't know if this was true in your study areas or not, but like if you wanted to copy notes from somebody or whatever, like it was always the girls that had like the best handwriting, the super organized shit. They would have like fucking bookmarks and table of contents for their notebooks. It was insane. It was always girls that did that shit. They'd have like fucking hyperlinks to their notebooks. It was like crazy. But it might just be that like the temperament or the demeanor of like a woman is in general just like kind of suited better for that. But like, do they get credit for it? I'm like, you should get some credit, of course. But do you demonize people that don't have that temperament? Like, I don't know. That's a little bit harder. It feels interesting. But then we get into like this highly deterministic area where it's like, does anybody get credit for anything, and can I feel good about anything, or is my whole life just like one big mistake and accident? It's hard. It's all complicated shit. But
from the womb have. Some people are just determined from...
Oh, that's an interesting thing. Somebody said this. This is a core concept in virtue ethics. You can't be brave if you don't feel fear. That's true as well. Like some people will say things like, I use myself as an example because I know myself the best or whatever, but like some people will say like, I can't believe that you do like all the Bob 7 stuff and the Mr. Girl stuff and the loud stuff and all this blah, blah, blah. And I do think there are some people that view me as like Destiny is this like fearless character that can go through and like be brave and like fight these people knowing that his career was blah, 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 blah. And I guess like if you view me that way, like cool, jerk me off harder. But like the reality is for me, it's just very entertaining. It's very fun. I enjoy that. Like that's fun for me. I'm not thinking like, okay, I need to be brave today because people are going to come after me. Okay, I got to be strong. For me, it's more just like, oh shit, it's like day 7 of like Death Note against Bob 7. I'm working on this fucking manifesto. I'm going to bury this motherfucker. Like it's an action. It's a fun thing for me. Yeah, it's just interesting the way that people have different problems in their lives, and some people's way to resolve those problems is like a hobby for them, it's fun for them. And for other people, it's agony. But at the end of the day, we all just kind of get judged by our outcomes instead of like how difficult a particular thing actually is to a person. It's just like interesting to view that, I guess.
From the time they're really young, and some people are just not. Some people are discouraged easily, and some people are not. And I don't know why. Yeah. But to say that there's no way is crazy. To say there's no way is like, that's irresponsible. And
this is a hard 90-degree offshoot. At some point, I'm going to need you to hear you expand on that take on The Last of Us, that it is a bad ending, and be curious to hear why you think that, since I feel like it's one of the best video game endings of all time. Okay, this might be corny, but this is what I feel like would have made The Last of Us a better ending. And maybe they did do this and I missed it. I feel like the surgery should have had like a 20% chance of finding cure for mankind. A 20% chance. Because then Joel could be like, I don't want to risk her life for like a 10 or 15 or 20% chance. Fuck you, I'm gonna blah, 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 blah. But if there was really the cure to everything in her brain, and he tries to like kill everybody to stop that, it just feels so unbelievably fucked. Spoilers, the game is 10 years old, you moron. They all, at the end of The Last of Us, Ellie gets broken out by Joel and he kills all the fireflies. That game is 10 years old. The here. What do you want me to spoil next? The Passion of the Christ? The here. It's a 10-year-old game. But the yeah, I feel like that ending was just so obviously fucked. It was so like, I think even it's hard, and sorry Nathan if you're hearing this, but if somebody tells me that I could sacrifice Nathan to literally fix the entire world, it would be sad and agonizing and like horrible and blah blah blah. But like, Nathan, I'm sorry, bro. It's the entire world. It's the entire world. I think they said that they had done the surgery like 20 times on earlier patients and they all failed and they all died. Is that true? I thought that's what Joel told Ellie at the end to lie to her. It's probably harder to make that decision when it's real. Maybe. I don't know. But, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. Okay, sorry, back to this.
It's also, like, to say that and just put it on 60 Minutes, hey, guys, that's not true. And you could talk to a lot of people that have lost weight, and they'll tell you it's not true. It doesn't mean that the people who are obese didn't get a really bad hand genetically, a really bad hand in terms of the environment they grew up with. Yeah, they got dealt a bad.
Do you think it'd be easy to sacrifice your son for the whole world? I mean, I think it'd be hard. Like, if they were asking me, like, I need you to drive him to the clinic where you can get fucking euthanized, I don't think I'd be able to do it. But if I knew that he was going to be euthanized, I don't know if I would, like, fucking murder, like, 100 people to go and fucking pull him out of the hospital. I don't know, man. That's a rough one. That just seems, like, super like, yeah, the whole world is... I'm sorry, but the whole world is going to be into perpetual zombie apocalypse until the end of time. You know, I bet if I thought really hard about it, I could make it make sense, though. Like, the world, maybe the world as it is already sucks, and, you know, maybe people deserve to burn because Joel had seen, like, the shittiness of mankind and some blah, 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 maybe. I don't know.
Bad hand. No doubt. It's not the same as someone who grows up in a house where everybody's skinny and the fucking whole family runs. Like, no, it's not going to be the same. Someone who's eating organic and the you know, the whole family, like, does a lot of exercise and does stuff together. Yeah, that they're going to be thinner. Yeah.
But say it was only a 10% chance of working. That's why I think the ending would have been greatly improved, as if it was like a 10% chance of working. Because then it's like, you should probably even take that chance, but 10% chance of it working and you're going to lose what's essentially your daughter. I think then the moral dilemma becomes a lot less ridiculous, I think, right? But I mean, that's just yeah.
It's like, you can't lie. You can't lie, and you can't you can't expect me to think that you're really an expert when you say things like that.
Yeah, but you also can't criticize Bill Gates by saying he has a soft body.
Of course you can.
Of course you're being a comedian, but
he does. And if he's talking about health, hey, buddy, get your house in order first.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of incredible doctors that don't have their house in order.
That's true. But if you're giving health advice, one of the core components to health is your metabolic health. Your overall metabolic health.
Put up this story right out of the gate. They're talking about using that drug, that semaglutide stuff we've been
no.
talking about.
Is that what they're doing? So this is like an ad for semaglutide?
I'm not saying that, but that's what it seems like.
Oh my
Because there's even like the whole thing
God.
about the shortages of it.
Oh no.
So
But you know, I think Huberman was discussing this. He might have been discussing this with Peter Attia, and they were discussing that semaglutide doesn't just make you lose fat,
this won't work.
but also makes you lose muscle in many cases. And that's probably because you're not...
Anything that makes you lose fat is probably going to make you lose muscle, right? That's the only way to lose fat and not lose muscle is to be training while you're losing fat, right? That's like a basic, like when your body's cutting calories, it's going to eat your muscles. I could be wrong, but I think your body actually prefers to eat muscle before it eats fat. I think that's true. if you don't work out and you start losing weight, I think your body's going to start digesting the proteins from your muscles before it'll go after the adipose tissue. That's why when you're on a cut, you have to lift at the same time so that you don't lose all your gains.
Not taking in enough food, right? Because what it's doing is I'm just guessing.
And then there's going to be some things that vary on that too. If you've got very, very, very high testosterone, you tend to hold on to more muscle than somebody with very low testosterone or something like that. There's going to be some, I think there's going to be some things in there that change that, but
there might be some other mechanisms involved, obviously. But if you're
what a lame design? Well, hold on. It's a lame design because nowadays we want muscle because that's good. But I think that the reason why it's technically a good design is because I think that your muscles are a liability to you in a survival environment because because muscles burn more calories. I think generally, like your muscles are going to be more of a liability than an asset, yeah, because you don't really need to be shredded in a wilderness environment. You don't need big muscles, and they burn a lot more calories than I think fat does. He's talking about your shit.
Like full, quicker, which is the idea behind this stuff. It's almost like you're taking an injection. It does the same thing as like a belly band. If you're not eating enough food and you're losing fat that quickly, you might be losing muscle too. Like, because
if you're muscular, do you use more energy even when you're not active? Yes, I'm pretty sure that your even your resting metabolic rate I think increases because I think muscles require more maintenance to keep like functional than fat. Like a 300-pound person at like 10% body fat, their resting metabolic rate is going to be way higher than a fat person's resting metabolic weight. Resting metabolic rate. That'll be way lower.
When people go on like binge diets, they starve themselves, they lose muscle.
Destiny. Muscle's utility even in the wilderness outweighs that drawback. That is absolutely not true. That is not true. An important adaptation that humans have is the ability to lose or gain muscle depending upon what's necessary. Like if you go and you look at like good hunters in the wilderness, I don't think they can deadlift like fucking 400 pounds or they're not benching like 300 pounds. Like that's just not the type of adaptation that I think humans generally need. Like I think we're built for distance running is how we traditionally hunt like big game. It's not wrestling bears. Now we have the ability to put on a lot of muscle, but our ability to gain or lose muscle is specifically because having muscle doesn't just outweigh not having muscle. Like there are some creatures that have muscle and they don't even have to build it. Like apes and orangutans. Like I think isn't it orangutan? Is that the thing that can lift like 600 pounds with no training? They just can. They have I think they can literally tear your head off. Am I making this up? I feel like I've seen a video of this before. Am I crazy? Where I feel like I watched this lift like just insane. They can just pull like insane shit. But it's because these guys don't build or lose muscle. They always have muscle. But for humans, we have the adaptation that we can gain or lose it depending on what's required. I don't know if it was a chimpanzee. I thought it was specifically orangutans had like an insane ability to pull. But I could be wrong. I don't remember.
You help me up? Go boy, fist bumps. Yeah.
It's been debunked. The ape in that video is on gear. Oh, did more dates do a video on that? Maybe.
Muscle. Like when guys lose weight for fights and they get down to a very minimalistic, very minimal calorie input, they lose muscle too. Like when someone cuts themselves down from like 205 and fights at 170, 100% they're going to lose some muscle too.
Yeah, but there's an interesting. So for fighting is different, but there's if you're doing it in a healthy way, for your own personal life, there might be some strength training combined. I mean, that's a really interesting dynamics, right? How do you lose weight while maintaining muscle mass?
Well, it depends on how many calories you're burning. Much of the weight loss resulting from GLP-1 agonists is the loss of muscle, bone mass, and other lean tissue rather than body fat. Holy shit.
It's dark.
For example, a 2021, but at least you look good.
Okay, you guys are... We got too many viewers. I need about 4,000 of you to leave. We're doing Factorio, okay? Get out of here, okay? This is... I don't know. We accidentally were entertaining, okay? We're not supposed to be today. What is this? Hold on.
And that's the bloody thing about Bane. He represents chaos. In fact, he's an agent of chaos. And
oh, Hold on, somebody brought that up. I had a really interesting thought. The reason apes are so strong is also due to their nervous system. Ours is limited because we work with tools, etc., with fine motor skills. That's true. We have, somebody drew human body proportions drawn based on how much brain controls. Can I find this picture again? I don't think I'm gonna be able to. There's like a lot of our, it's called homunculus. Wait, what? I've never heard this word in my life. Oh. Wait, is this what I'm thinking of? Maybe? It looks kind of like what I'm thinking of. Maybe it is. But I mean, I've heard, I guess I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard that like there's an inordinate amount of our brain power that goes towards our hands. It's just so unbelievable how much like fine tactile motor skill that we have in our hands compared to like other animals where like their hands have like the adeptness of like our feet, like where they just can't have like the tactile, like individual, like manipulation of our fingers that other, that we have. Humans are just really, really, really good at that. There was an interesting thing I thought about regarding identity and that hand thing. I don't know if this means anything. I just think it would be interesting to poll like 1,000 people. When do you start to consider your body you as a person? And do we view certain parts of our body as either not us or as something that's a little bit different? So like, here's an example. I feel like if somebody here, I wish I could pull and do like an experiment on this, okay? If somebody crawls up to you and somebody were to touch your ankle, I feel like the default response wouldn't be, ew, he touched me. It would be, ew, he touched my ankle, right? And I think that for certain body parts, it gets to that point, especially when you go down low, right? If somebody touches your butt, oh, he touched me. No, he touched my butt. Or, oh, he touched my knee. But when you get to certain parts of the body, like if somebody touches somebody's like chest or arm or hand, I don't know if you would ever say like, oh, he touched my hand. I think you would just say, oh, he touched me. And I wonder if that's because we think more about like our hands and movement, or if that's just bullshit. Maybe people wouldn't say that at all. I wish I could poll people on that. I'd be curious and like find out like what, like, would somebody be more likely to say like, oh, he touched some body part that we don't relate to as much, like a knee or an ankle or something, versus somebody touches like your arm or whatever, like, oh, he touched me. Like you think like there's like a different feeling for that. I have no idea. I'm not sure. Just do a poll here? Well, no, what I would have to do is I'd have to do an experiment where I put somebody in a room and I had somebody touch them and then I see what they say. Like, oh, what just happened? Would the person say like, oh, he touched my arm. Oh, he touched my elbow. Oh, he touched me. I wonder if there's yeah, I don't know.